Are you worried about a real estate crash, a massive recession around the corner, just as you're about to buy your first property to invest in? Or maybe you recently started investing and you're worried about a crash that might arrive soon. Well, I'm going to show you 3 points with some charts as to what typically happens in a recession, and I'm going to share a tip at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. So let's start. Now, I just want to pull up some news items over here that always comes around every few weeks, every few months. There's going to be a housing crash, a different kind of bubble, biggest bubble. No one's worried about the bubble, and it's all about crashes that's around the corner all the time. So here's the first point I want to share with you. Okay, now what typically happens in a recession is unemployment goes up. All right, so I've pulled up the chart over here. You can have a look at the source over here at the bottom. Okay, but typically in a recession, and sorry, the gray areas over here, so the gray areas here and over here and over here, these gray areas over here are recessions. Okay, now what typically happens in a recession is unemployment rate goes up. Okay, as you can see, so this is in the 1990s, early 90s, early 2000s, and then 2008, great financial crash, and most recently, probably one of the shortest recessions ever, the 2020 pandemic crash. Okay, so that's for the US. I'm going to show you what happens in the UK, just as an example. Okay, so unemployment, so this unemployment rate. Again, you can see in the 90s, it goes up around the recession time, and ironically, in the 2000s, it kind of stayed flat or a bit lower, but for a very long time. Okay, so it's just flat for a very long time, and then we can see in 2008 it just ramped up. Okay, when the crash of the financial crisis happened, and then in 2021, I don't think this has been updated yet, but you'll see I guess this is the spike over here. So it wasn't a huge rise in unemployment, but there was a rise. Okay, so that's unemployment. All right, so that's the first point. Unemployment typically goes up. Now, the second point I want to show you is what happens to house prices or real estate prices. So again, the gray is the recession on this chart. Gray is recession. All right, so what happens typically is there's a small dip or flat during a recession. Over here, you can see there's a dip, and then it gets slightly flatter before it goes up. Over here, great financial crisis, actually it started dipping before then, and then a massive dip before a period of flat, and then it starts going up later on. Okay, I'm going to show you the UK one just for comparison. So this is actually the UK was flat pretty much throughout the 90s before it went up. And then you can see in the financial crisis, 2008, there was a big dip, and then it went flat for a bit before recovering. And then in 2020, 2021, you can see it's continued to go up, but that might be due to other factors like infinite money printing. So that's the second point, all right, that house prices, although they dip, they do eventually recover. Okay, you can see in the UK and you can see in the US. So they dip and then they eventually recover. A dip, recover, a big dip, and a recovery. A smaller dip, I guess, and a recovery. Okay, so the third and final point, and this is just from my personal experience, is that rental rates, you tend to go flat or a bit lower. Okay, and that's just my experience. All right, that's the third point. Now, the final point I want to make, and this is what I really want to share with you. It's not really a secret because I'm sharing it with you now. If you prepare for all of this and you have your emergency fund and you factor in lower rents, you maybe factor in higher vacancy rates, then you'll be able to weather the storm. Okay, so recessions will happen. We know that. All right, so there's no need to worry too much about it if you plan for it. So if you've got a contingency plan, then you shouldn't be too worried about it because you're already expecting it and you're prepared for it. All right, so those are my few tips that I wanted to share today. And just remember, None of this is financial advice. I don't know what's going to happen. Check out this chart about what I actually know, which is nothing. So take this, as entertainment. And don't forget, tune in for the next video. Like, subscribe. Andy out.